My name's Stewart Lochhead, and my guest today is Roddy McLeod, also known as the BarrheadBoy, or Barrhead as they say around there. Is that right, Roddy?
Absolutely. They say quite a lot about it, but yes, Barrhead, that is my nom de guerre.
See, I'm a Barrhead grandson. I'm not a Barrhead boy, but my mother was a Barrhead lassie, so. But that's not my excuse for inviting Roddy on the show. Roddy, I would like to just start off with an up-to-date topic, which is this morning is Brexit. There was a lot of speculation on the morning TV and radio about Brexit. Where do you think it's going?
As expected, disastrously. There's no surprises here. I think a lot of us were saying for quite some time that the plan of the Tories was a no-deal Brexit, because this makes the speculators and fortunes, they've been betting against the pound, they've been betting against the stock exchange, they've been betting against the country to make money. And the best way, in fact, even Boris Johnson's sister mentioned that fact way back in September. She was talking about how his supporters, the financial supporters, were going to make lots of money out of a disastrous Brexit, and that's exactly what they're going to get.
The question's got to be asked then, if they don't get a disastrous Brexit, which is obviously, given what you've just said, hard to avoid, do they lose a lot of money, or they hedge their bets both ways, don't they?
Well, yeah, I don't think they lose. I mean, they can't. They don't lose. We lose. I mean, when the bankers lost, they didn't lose. We lost. You know, when there was the crash of the internet companies, it was we.
Oh,
the public.
The dot-com bubble.
Yeah, they just don't make as much money. Maybe that's the worst bit. But they're not going to suffer with Brexit. They're not going to have any problems. It's as usual going to be all the ordinary jocks and Tamson's bairns that's going to have the problem.
So when do you think we'll know? This week about whether there's a deal or no deal?
Well, it's not. I mean, it's already saying that it's teetering, and they're trying to already blame the EU, or they're introducing these things. And the arrogance behind it is actually quite stunning, because if there is an arrogance, we know, an exceptionalism and a pomposity to our Anglo-British neighbours. But the president-elect, Joe Biden, has already stated that anything that can harm the Good Friday Agreement, which this Brexit will do, then America will not only not give them a trade deal, America is going to be very upset. Nancy Pelosi, the head of the Democratic Congress, has already said that there is no way the Congress, and it's not the presidency, even if Trump had stayed in place, it's not the president who agrees trade deals, it's the Congress in America. And they've already said, no, you attack Ireland, it's not going to happen. They've got too much invested in Ireland. I mean, Biden even, I mean, that you know, the Americans are this amazing thing that there's no such thing as, yes, I'm an American. They're either an American Irish or American Italian, American Greek, American whatever, you know, Irish. And so the Irish diaspora over in America is huge and very influential.
Yes, I was going to say it's a powerful lobby, isn't it? Very powerful.
Absolutely. They even managed to find an Irish connection for Obama. Brilliant. I love that. I mean, I do. I've never met an Irishman I didn't like. There's a petrol station called the Obama petrol station in Ireland.
Assembly. You include the SNP Conference. We've had the NEC. We've had the NEC uprising, revolution, I called it. And we've even had the result of a vote for the members of the new Yes Alba committee. So it's an interesting time. What's your take on what's been happening lately?
Well, I'm delighted that the NEC, the outcome, and I take a very tiny portion of credit for that, because it was the wonderful Dot Jessamine was a podcast guest of mine who made it clear to the listeners and to the wider Yes movement and the SNP members in particular that for 18 months the SNP NEC had not even discussed independence, and that the priority, they were told, was, you know, equality comes before independence. And this seemed to horrify the SNP membership into into action. And so I was delighted that they seem to be the real independentists. I mean, I've always been a fundy, as they called, as a fundamentalist. So I was glad to see that the fundies are back in control.
Oh, I'm not a gradualist.
Oh, no, not am I. I mean, I'm not at the age either, Stewart, where I can afford to be a gradualist anymore.
Me neither, aye.
Yeah, and I've been doing this. And I mean, I first joined the party in the late 60s and I didn't do anything. I'd started campaigning in the 70s. So, you know, I've done my shift, and I'm looking forward to something happening. And so those ones are telling me patience.
You know, I think I'm thinking of Norrie here, who my partner in crime in most of these shows, and what he said was, I hate Wings because he always turns out to be right. And it's like, you know, he was telling us things that we didn't want to know, we didn't want to believe were true a long time ago, and yet time after time goes by and he's been proved right and right and right. And right now we're looking at what's officially called the harassment inquiry. And again, we're looking at, I hate it because I don't like where it's going, but if that's the way it's going, I want it over with.
I can relate and empathise with that 100%. I don't like it. I hate it. It's not the party that I've loved my whole life. I've never voted anything else. No intention of voting anything else.
I'll be one and two.
In the constituency, well, I won't be 1-2 because I know that the 2 vote, particularly where I live, is a waste. It only lets unionists in, as it did last time. But that's another story. We could spend a whole programme on that one. But I am totally committed to the SNP, and they are our route to independence. But that said, I don't buy into the nonsense that Nicola Sturgeon doesn't believe in independence or she's given up. That's just a nonsense. But I do think that she is, if not scared, she's badly advised. She doesn't have a good strategic view of things. The British state has never been weaker. Yes. The British state is there for taking out. I mean, if this was a boxing match, one good hook and they're down and out and counted out, and the title is ours.
Well, I mean, and the other side of the coin is, there's a good strong argument to say that if we don't act now, we could be missing a window of opportunity.
Absolutely. I've written the blogs saying exactly that. That window is going to close all the time now. The Tories, the imperialists, have made their intentions clearly known. We're all talking about, we mustn't, Nicola's not showing her hand. She's got this famous secret plan, which I do not believe.
That wished for Indy, it's called.
Yeah, I know. It's infuriating. There is, listen, folks, believe me or believe me not, believe Stu Campbell, the many of us, and Stewart here, who are telling you there is no secret plan.
No,
what you've been told is it.
I mean, today we had a wee dispute today, me and Norrie, and I was saying, you know, honestly, the idea that there aren't MI5 or British government spies inside the SNP, they know exactly what's going on, everything that's been spoken about. I mean, they wouldn't be doing their job if they weren't well up to speed on any ideas. The idea you could have a secret plan and hide it, get away.
Correct, and which is also, going back to your earlier point about the harassment inquiry, you know, they would have been about, if they knew anything like that in 2014, we would have heard about it. So that's another story. But no, I don't think she's anti-independence or not interested in independence. I believe with her heart and soul she is. I just think she's, I heard someone suggesting, I think it's a great way of describing it, she's the best leader we had at the wrong time. I would have thought for being the leader the day after independence when it needed a good manager. What we need now is a warrior. Don't
mention the word manager. We used to work with a good, well, I'm afraid he's dead now, Alistair Grant. Alec Grant, sorry. And Alec was a major funder of the SNP. He could walk into Peter Morell's office and tell him what's what, you know. Unfortunately, Alex went and died. And I've done too many management training courses in my life. I'd rather forget most of them. But the number one worst style of management is called firefighting. And that's all this Peter Morell has been doing.
Well, at least he's been doing something. I mean, if you ask 99% of the This is the guy who's the CEO. And if you ask 99% of the members and of the wider Yes movement and say, have you ever heard this guy speaking? Have you ever heard him saying or doing anything? So the answer is no. I've never even heard. I wouldn't know if he phoned me, I wouldn't know his voice. But he is getting paid a huge amount of money. Let me go back. The first thing I would say is this, Stewart. You're talking about management training and commerce and business. This is just an unhealthy relationship. The leader of the party should not be the spouse of the chief executive officer. You know, if it's Imelda Marcus and or Eva Perón and Juandra Perón, perhaps this is Scotland. It's a devolved government. The two people, the day she became leader, he should have resigned or she should have fired him. It's unhealthy.
In an ideal world, she'll survive to lead us into a referendum. But at the moment, things are extremely shaky. I can visualize one of those trestle bridges with a train going over the top. It's probably made of wood and it's wobbling. I mean, I heard there was a strong case being, now who made the strong case yesterday for Nicola should not be leading this fight against COVID forever and ever and ever. She's got very strong health secretary. Jean Freeman took, after all, Jean Freeman is a very capable woman. She took apart Alex Neil many years ago on TV. So what do you think about that? Would she listen to any advice and let somebody like Jean Freeman take the shoulders?
The criticism I will make of Nicola is that she's very presidential and it's very her. And I actually made this point in my blog this week, which I had with Corey Wilson, on my podcast rather.
That was good. I listened to that. That was very good.
Yeah. So she should have passed it on to Jean Freeman. That was exactly what I said. And or Jason Leach. She's got perfect, and she should be stepping in when there's something, massive, something that's changing. I've spoken to the four parts of the UK, and here's what we're doing, or we've got the vaccine when it's important. And as soon as the BBC politicised it, that's when she should have stepped back. And if she'd stepped back from it, this Douglas Ross party political broadcast every day would be just pointless. It wouldn't be on, and it would have stopped them politicising it. So I think it's a mistake, and I think she's milked it too much.
I think yes. I think if she'd pulled out as leading the public fight at the time, BBC said they were going to pull out, I think she'd have done the job. She'd have got the respect, the profile across Scotland, and even across the world. It'd been a much better idea.
Just like a boxer that's taken one fight too many.
Well, it could be. I think you're right about that.
And so I would have stepped back. I would wish even now she'd step back. But this fact that, she's busy on COVID, so we can't have an independence referendum or do anything in independence till, not just COVID's over. She's said not until the financial problem for COVID.
I mean, that goes way beyond.
I'll be dead.
That goes away.
I'll be dead.
Yeah, me too. I've got a heart and a lung problem. Be lucky to get through this pandemic.
Correct.
I mean, honestly, I honestly just despair. But to go as far as that is more than you could predict from a gradualist point of view. Unless she seems to be dragging her feet more than predictable, than would be predictable. And you can understand why she's been accused of being a devolutionist. I'll tell you what I did discuss. I would say that Andrew Wilson, Growth Commission and version of Andrew Wilson, there's more than one around. He's almost certainly a devolutionist, judging by for what he's been published lately. Now she retweeted something that he tweeted, and I accused. From then on, that was only recently, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and because she did so, I've accused her of being a devolutionist.
I think so. I think she's comfortable in it, and but the problem again, I go back to it because when this nightmare unleashes on January 1st, and it's going to get worse. And I've had this discussion with plenty of people. The problem, the anger I have with the media in the United Kingdom is not they're biased. They are biased. That's not my biggest complaint. It's what they don't tell the public. And I'm not just talking here about Scotland. I'm talking about the whole of the UK. The people have no idea exactly what's going to happen. And us anoraks, we've got a pretty good idea. But the general public, they have no idea how bad it's going to be because, the nice BBC, if it was bad, would tell them.
Did you see Mar this morning?
No, I take a position. I don't watch propaganda.
They were speculating, yes, so they were speculating about Brexit, and they had this very well-spoken French politician, spokesperson for Macron, spoke very nice English. And so Mar was saying, giving the government case, he was saying, oh, fishing, you know, we're perfectly entitled as a sovereign nation to do what we want, to refuse access to anybody we like. And nobody normally, he doesn't get, people don't get rebutted on that. But this French politician immediately piped up and said, yeah, but that British fish you're talking about, nearly all of it gets sold into the EU, and we'll be putting tariffs up. That shut him up.
Indeed, and what people don't realise is that the 5 big fishing families sold their catch to the European Union fishermen. It wasn't. It was, you know, you just can't get out of these deals over and above the EU. But it's a joke. It's the lies that are told, and as Chomsky said to Marr when he was interviewing him at that famous interview, telling him that he was just a part of the establishment, and Marr was, oh, no, and he said, no, you wouldn't be in that chair doing that job if you weren't. And so they've toed the party line and not told the public. And going back to your first question when we started this, Brexit is going to be horrific. It is going to be a disaster, and it's going to very quickly show itself. And of course, the EU will be blamed, and Johnny Foreigner, and the immigrants, and the Windrush people, and the Jocks, and the Paddies, and the Taffs, and everyone but, you know,
the Geordies.
The Geordies, yeah, the lazy Northerners, everyone but the people who are responsible, who are sitting counting their profits. And the Daily Mail and the BBC and ITV will duly, because they're all part of it. And they're not going to suffer. And because we've not got any defences, our MSPs in general are not going to suffer, and Nicola's not going to suffer. You know, they're shielded. They've got huge pensions already fixed up. They've got great salaries.
You know, I mean, somebody needs to say to Nicola, you know, you've got. What would you say to anybody who's in a job and is wondering about whether they should stay or leave? Now, have you got your, what is it called? You know, have you thought about the future? Have you got portable skills? Well, Nicola Sturgeon's got huge portable skills. She could get offered if she was to retire now, she could get offered a job at the UN or something in Geneva.
Well, there are rumours, Stewart. There are rumours.
But you know, I mean, her future's secure, whatever she does, unless she's murdered a baby.
Yeah, well, no, I don't think she's gone that far, but, you know, there are rumours that she's got something lined up with the UN, but who knows? There's so many rumours going about these days. But what I would say is this, that we know, as I was alluding to earlier, that what the Brits are up to. They've got their 3,000 employees ready, their UK civil servants ready to move in to Alistair Union Jack's headquarters in Edinburgh. They're ready. They've got their internal market bill ready to deploy and do a power grab. And our defence is what, Nicola? What? Oh, it's a secret. You're going to tell us in January the 1st, are you?
That's a waste of time.
What are we going to do? How are we going to defend ourselves?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I mean, if you've got a clue, Stuart, I really would like to know.
I can't tell you.
No, but that's the problem. They don't seem to have put any defences up. Never mind going for just a referendum. And I mean, I've been advocating an independence plebiscite in May. A lot of people say, well, that's too late, Roddy. Well, I mean, maybe it is, but it's all we've got at the moment. And secondly, I don't think they'll neuter Holyrood, the Brits. They won't close it because they need someone to blame, and they need to give the pretense that there's still democracy going.
They just slowly remove. It's like boiling a frog, isn't it?
Correct. And it'll be like an English county council. So there'll still be an election. And if we turn it into, and she states it now before they remove the powers or make it illegal to even do that, and say, well, I'll tell you what, you've announced your internal market bill's going ahead again. Fine. We'll be having an independence plebiscite in May the 6th or 5th. What is it, 5th or 6th? I don't know. Whatever.
I think
we'll be having it then. And I believe that is legal. You know, no doubt we'll get some. If I'm not, someone will tell me. But as I said, the unionists can't boycott that, but they could boycott a referendum, we call. But they can't boycott that because they'll have no MSPs in Holyrood, and they couldn't take that risk.
Well, I think that is a very strong message that you're giving me there, Roddy. And I think we can wind up here and say
I talk too much. Is that what you're saying to me, Stuart?
No, you don't talk too much, but I think that's a very strong message to leave the viewer and listener. And I want to thank you very much for coming on. It's
been a pleasure. Anytime you like. Until you take care, and all your listeners too.
Okay, thank you very much, Roddy McLeod, also known as BarrheadBoy. Bye bye.